Hello and good evening. This is Occult Priestess, and you are watching my Rokfin channel. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for those who are coming later. We have a tiny little chat room right now, but I'm hoping that that will grow. And I do understand that it is the holiday season, so I hope after the lockdowns, you guys are all out doing something festive and fun. So tonight, I have made videos to introduce what we're about to get into, which is a pretty deep topic of gaslighting. So the film is named Gaslight, and that is actually where we get the term gaslighting from, this particular film. And in the holiday spirit, tonight we have a friend joining us. You may have seen him in some of the amazing chat rooms on Rokfin, but you probably wouldn't have seen him on Twitter much or Facebook much because they're always getting banned. So I'm going to bring them in right now. Are you ready? Okay. All right, here we go. This is our good friend, Ian. Ian, how are you this evening?
Could be better, but hanging in there. Not like Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I can hear you, which is good.
Let's try moving the mic closer. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you could join us this evening. I know you're going through something right now, and so many people out there are also going through something right now. So I'm glad you could join us and be a part of this.
No, it is the holidays, and it's nice to finally go live with you guys. I,
Definitely. I see you've got Hermes Trismegistus set up behind you, and I told you that I think that looks like the cover of a cereal box.
I found it. Um, well,
Can you show
I,
it to the camera more as you talk about it?
I kind of found this image somewhere a long time ago, and I never really know. It spoke to me a little bit, and I lost the image for a while and found it again.
Isn't that hilarious? Isn't that the way it works? That's very hermetic, isn't it?
All things flow into one, and all things flow out from the one.
Beautiful and true. I want to say hi to the new people that came into the chat room. I'm Occult Priestess. This is my friend Ian, from my internet friend. And we're here tonight to talk about gaslighting and to actually give you examples of it so that when you come across it, which you have in your life, especially over the last 2 years, then you can recognize it and have defenses against it and not fall for it. So, when I say gaslighting to you, Ian, what comes to mind?
Someone consistently lying and then making up more lies to keep up with their lies, and then when you find out that they're lying, they'll tell you something completely different than what they said in the first place.
Ooh, that's a very good, accurate description, Ian, and I think we can all feel that.
Safe and effective, everybody. It's safe and effective.
Safe and effective. Yeah, that's a classic form of gaslighting, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh no, we didn't say it was. We didn't say it was 99%. Oh no, we said it was 75%. Well, I I guess it's all right. You're not gonna die.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
That's awesome. So nobody said hi in the chat, although we have more chatters, but hi, we're live, we're people, we're here for you. Um, Reaching out in friendship and camaraderie this holiday season and teaching as well, is because that's what we do best. So let's get started, Ian. Let's get on with the show. You feeling froggy, feeling like getting on with the show? Or did you have a
Leaping.
special message or anything?
Hmm? Oh well, it's the holiday season. Make sure you love your loved ones and always tell them the truth.
I like that. That's beautiful. Let's do this some cheers to our coffees. Cheers.
Salute.
Cheers, everyone in the audience. Ah, black coffee.
Same
Okay.
here.
Actually, I did put a little bit of coconut milk in mine, so but it tastes like really dark. I only let myself have coffee now when I'm doing live streams. It's my special treat.
Oh, I've been drinking way too much coffee lately. Well,
Totally understood.
5 months sober from alcohol, so it's my
Let's celebrate. I wish I
issue.
had like a bell or some noisemaker. Congratulations, man. Five months sober is no small feat, especially after what we've all gone through and what we're going through personally. So I really want to give you props on that and mad respect.
I
Um,
don't think well, I always go to the local bar here and I order water. Still talk to everybody, still spreading the knowledge, still correcting mistakes and thought.
hmm. Do you think that you had some kind of an awakening?
Many, many years ago,
Hmm.
many years ago, I actually came into the 9/11 truth movement originally from occultism.
Hmm.
And you kind of, once you're kind of have an awakening, you never come back.
You can't. Once you're woke, you can't go back.
Well, as long as you're the right kind of woke.
Remember when woke used to be our word?
Yeah, instead of people falling asleep.
Yeah, like it's really the word of enlightenment. Woke meant to become enlightened, to have a little, well, Sitarai, which is a mini enlightenment, which 9/11 could definitely give you. And then the
Uh,
greater spiritual enlightenment that comes out of finding the truth of this world. And
I'm
also the truth of the self, which is the most important form of enlightenment, the one that the Buddha had. So that's what I always thought woke meant.
well, I kind of had an awakening long before 9/11. Uh, I'm actually well, for a long time they tried to put me back asleep because when 9/11 happened, they rolled in the big TVs from school. You remember those on the carts.
I do.
And the minute those towers fell, I said the government did that out loud,
Wow.
middle of class. And
Wow.
the next year, and later that school year, they started putting me on medication, as
Oh my
was the
god.
custom and is the custom.
Is the custom. I have been kidnapped and forcefully hospitalized and drugged against my will, strapped down even. And it's because I'm a psychic. And this world, I'm sensitive and I understand what's going on and it freaks me out sometimes. And I try to tell my friends and my family and my community and a lot of them did not take it well. And I ended up in the mental ward against my will. So that's gaslighting too, isn't it?
Yeah, if people only understand the physical realms, they're never going to understand the higher mental realms. They're only going to be focused on what is. If this
And
person's
they
not acting exactly correct like a robot, they're going to force you to act like a robot.
exactly, and we visited that last weekend with Yona Anawodi with Brave New World here on Rokfin.
Yeah, they tried to medicate me, but I basically hid in the couch and lucky my parents were understanding and my dad basically told the next teacher next year that I'm just bored. I don't they're teaching me the same stuff year after year and I'm just bored. I want to learn calculus, I want to learn algebra. And they just kept putting me in remedial math, so I
Mm,
didn't pay attention and after they forced me again for a second year, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gone. Bye. Have fun."
thank goodness for your father. That's beautiful that he intervened because we don't have a voice when we're young. They don't listen to us, and when they think you're crazy, then you definitely don't have a voice. All of your rights are taken from you.
Well, there's a difference between being crazy. It would be that you don't know understand the mental processes going on, the higher mental processes when your crown chakra is awake. Some people can go insane if they don't have a fundamental philosophy behind what they're experiencing. Once you understand that philosophy, all the gaslighting, all the the lies, everything just kind of melts away, and you just understand. You have an understanding, you can read people, you're not going to be able to be lied to consistently.
Exactly. And then you start making choices in your life when you have the free will to do so of who you're going to surround yourself with.
Sometimes you don't even have to take up psychic, or it's sometimes it's just little cues that they'll give you that will tell they're lying, much like
Oh,
poker.
definitely.
If you've ever played poker with somebody in real life, you can tell their tells. they You'll know when they're bluffing because they'll double down, and you can call them and get the pot.
That's an excellent point. I always look for the jokers in my life, the fakers and the jokers, and I weed them out. And I'm alone a lot. I'll tell you that because the world's crazy. A lot of people are crazy. And that does make us a bit of hermits. I call us Hermes hermits.
Hermetically sealed.
Yes, we are hermetically sealed. Hey, we've got a hail and a sail. I don't know how to say that word. Vinny has joined the chat over in Rokfin. Hello, Vinny. Good evening to you. This is our friend Ian. If you want to say hi, you guys. Are you able to see the chat from where you're at?
Um, I can pull it up in a new tab and mute it. Or
Excellent.
let's see what we got. Actually, phone. Benny. Oh. Hail and sail. Yep, sail. AE is ale. Hail and sail. All right.
I hit the wrong button.
Whoops.
I actually exited the studio. So yeah, hail, hailsa. If that's a druid thing, hailsa could be a Nordic thing. Let us know there, Venny. And so, like, oh my goodness, I have to populate the stream again. What means is everything I set up for tonight went away because I left the studio. So I'm going to put that back up. And I'm wondering, Ian, could you take one moment while I do that and talk to the audience?
All right.
Thank you.
Well, we have different forms of gaslighting. We have digital gaslighting. We have verbal gaslighting. We have textual gaslighting. I have plenty of old books and dictionaries and reference libraries that if you go to the dictionary and, oh, say you find a word like, God, what's the topic? What's off the top of my head? I could use some crass words which had totally different meanings 10, 20, 40 years ago. Like they changed the definition of vaccine from provides immunity from the virus and stops transmission to keeps you from, I guess, nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, how are
But
they defining that now? Just take it so that we can have your money.
yeah.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate you. That's good. Those are some good points. I did bring in
Manipulating
this
Wikipedia.
aspect, which are these are just clips of things that we should read out to the people. So I don't know how well you can see that. Can you see it well enough to read it? Are you a good reader? Do you want to read it?
Favorite tactic of manipulators used to obstruct and distort their victims' understanding of reality, intentionally setting up misdeeds and then questioning the victim's sanity for reacting to those misdeeds. Rewriting history or blatantly denying that the event took place. First provoking negative emotions, then dismissing the victim's legitimate concerns with labels, label crazy, insane, bipolar, hysterical, and sensitive. Gaslighters are patronizing, unapologetic, and above all, they are cowardly. Because they are unable to manipulate healthy individuals, they must first manufacture insanity and chaos. This gives them the power to control power and control that they seek over loving, compassionate human beings.
Wow. Excellent. Very good reading. All right. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next slide, basically, is what this is. It's a little slideshow. All right. So
That
these
is
are 7 things, 7 gaslighting phrases people use to silence you. And I got this from the Times of India because I actually like that. Once in a while they have some really good articles. So, number 1, you are crazy and need help. People who gaslight often play doctors to their victims. They would rather you question your own sanity so that you believe that the problem is really you rather than their own deceptiveness and manipulation. So, as long as you are the one who needs help, they will never have to take responsibility for changing their ways of thinking and believing. You want to take number 2?
number 2. You must work on that. Such phrases play with our emotional well-being. It's usually used when you react or behave in a way someone does not like in order to make you think the behavior is problematic. However, the truth is that it's only problematic for the other person because it does not fit into the box they want to keep you in. It's a way of asserting dominance over your mind.
Dude, dominance over your mind. Like when I was growing up, my mom was in an abusive relationship, and she would always say that she was being mind controlled. Mind controlled was an everyday word in my house as a child. So she was with a Vietnam vet, and he was really messed up. And that's what happened there with that. So, number 3, you're just insecure and jealous. Oh, I hate this one. Isn't this a ugh. This is their way of planting seeds of insecurity and doubt in your mind and your personality. Wow. Attractiveness and personality. Okay, that's twice. This allows people to have control over you. Also, they do so to avoid suspicion and to continue to reap the benefits of multiple sources of attention and praise. Mm, deep, deep.
Times of India.
Yeah.
I was reading one. You're
Would you like to go for number 4?
Sure. 4. You are too sensitive. You are overreacting. Such a phrase proves that the person is gaslighting you, doesn't care about your emotions at all. Per experts, claiming that victims are overreacting, oversensitive to emotional abuse is a popular way for people to override your certainty about the severity of the abuse you experience.
Okay, we're going to move forward on the slideshow. And number 4 shows up twice, so we're just going to skip it the second time it shows up. Whoops. Where'd it go? Oh, man.
Act start.
I got it.
You have to do it again.
I do. Here we go. Number 5. Maybe that's what you heard in your head, but it's not what I said. And I have heard this so many times. I've been gaslit my whole life. So this phrase denies your reality, your feelings, and asserts control over you. By saying this, the other person makes it clear that they haven't done or said anything wrong. It is you who is making things up in your head. So go ahead and take number 6, Ian.
It was just a joke. Disgusting, cruel remarks, negative comments, etc. as just jokes is a popular tactic of people who gaslight you. They can engage in acts of name-calling, taunting, belittling, and contempt while escaping the responsibility of issuing an apology.
Dun, dun, dun. And please take number 7. I'm having a little hard time looking at
You
seeing.
are the problem here, not me. It's common for abusive partners to call their victims narcissists and abusers and to dump their own qualities and behaviors into their victims. This is a way for them to gaslight their victims into believing that they are the ones at fault.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, guys, I hope everyone in the chat heard that. And that's how it makes you feel like, I'm going to get you. And so, for anyone who hasn't seen the movie Mother, spoiler alert, it's about gaslighting. And I watched this film when it came out, and that's how it was one of the shadows that I saw of what was coming of this reality is going to get so bad we just can't stand it anymore. And so Mother really describes that. And you can see here it says, it's hard to describe this film in a succinct way, considering all the chaos that's portrayed. However, an undeniable aspect is how Jennifer Lawrence's character is gaslighted by everyone around her, from her husband to the strangers who enter to wreak havoc in her home. And we also understand that gaslighting by a bunch of people is more like gang stalking. And gang stalking is people who follow other people in groups and drive the one person crazy. And there are a lot of victims of that on the internet, and they make videos about it. So you can look up gang stalking and you will find more about that, even though that's not our subject tonight.
Am I frozen?
No, you're fine. I mean, you can move if you like, but I can hear you. Maybe you're frozen. I don't know.
My cam's frozen, but
I can hear you just fine. So the film Noir that exposed the everyday horrors of domestic violence. Gaslight was the first Hollywood film to depict an abusive relationship. And then we're going to move on because that was the American version you're looking at right now. The original version of Gaslight was 1940. That's what we're watching this evening, is the original. I stick with originals. And this says, the highly successful play was adapted into 2 feature films, one 1940, the other one in 1944, both entitled Gaslight. So one was British, the first one, which we'll watch tonight. And this is from Wikipedia. There never was a 1940s film called Gaslight. You imagined it. So I thought that was a cute joke. And so that was our little slideshow to basically introduce the topic to everyone. And now I'm adding to the stream. Dun, dun, dun. This runtime is about 12 minutes, I believe. I think that's where I edited at. So I've edited this for us to teach us a little bit more about gaslighting, but also to teach us about film noir. If you've noticed, if you're a fan of mine, I wear a fedora a lot. And Hermes, my spirit guide, who dresses me sometimes, has created this fedora-like facade for me to express through. And it has a lot to do with film noir. And it's my reality. It's the reality we all live in if you're awake and you understand things. But this was a soft paw, easy way for Hermes to introduce me to how dark the world really is. And a lot of journalists and, dare I say, new media will be wearing the hermetic hat. My fedora sometimes has wings on it, which is my Hermes Hermit fedora. But we are reporting not just news, we're reporting emotional information, psychological information, and information about the soul. So this is all-encompassing type of new media. No longer talking heads repeating a narrative. This is real. So I love that. All right, I'm going to take Ian and I off the screen, and we're going to enjoy this little romp into gaslighting and film noir.
Let me ask you a question. How do you define film noir? Other genres can be defined by their tone, their location, or moments that occur within the movie. However, film noir is a genre that is defined by its themes. The categorization of what exactly film noir is can be tricky. There is an ongoing debate between film scholars that was started in the 1950s that discusses whether or not it's even a genre. I would like to thematically break down the genre and look at some of the bigger themes and ideas found within the movies in the genre and look at the evolution of these into the modern era of cinema. But let's begin by looking at the most important aspect of any film noir, the protagonist. In many movies we saw our protagonist as a detective or a private eye, but we would also see protagonists as boxers, convicts, screenwriters, and hitmen. Film noir is a genre about the fall of a character and the deterioration of their morals as they are forced from one bad situation into the next. A perfect example of this would be one of Billy Wilder's masterpieces, Sunset Boulevard. In the film, we follow a screenwriter, Joe Gillis, who is struggling to make ends meet in Hollywood. Because of debt, he is forced to go on the run from local authorities and hides out in an aging silent film actress, Nora Desmond's, mansion. She agrees to house him if he agrees to help revise her script. At this point, he has a financial obligation to her. We soon come to learn that she is suffering from depression, and the idea of Joe leaving her would only make her condition worse. At this point, he also has a moral obligation to her. Joe slowly starts to break free from Norma's grasp when he tells her he will be moving out of Los Angeles and back to Ohio. She decides to shoot him, leaving him dead in her pool. What is unanimous in all of this is how little choice Joe has. He is forced on the run and by chance meets Norma, who decides that he can help her. He never has any say in the matter, but instead is forced into one situation, into another. Due to circumstances out of his hands, he ends up dead. This is the most important part of film noir, the protagonist losing control of the situation and being forced down a road of moral ambiguity before his eventual downfall. That downfall often varies. It could be death, the loss of a close friend, or someone else taking the prize. But in the end, due to the circumstances out of the protagonist's hand, they are in a worse place than when the film began. Another defining feature of film noir is reflecting the time and place where the film was created. In the 1940s, World War II was reflected into film noir with a downbeat tone and a very melancholy atmosphere. The genre shifted in the 1950s to embody more espionage and deceit, which is obviously a reflection of the Cold War and the paranoia that was felt because of the Red Scare. Some people like to say that film noirs ended in the late 1950s, but film noirs continued to be made up to this day, so I like to say that as long as the films are being made, how could the genre be dead? For the rest of the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and into the 21st century, we have continued to see film noirs be made that reflect the social norms of these times where they were made. Why Chinatown captured the nation's interest when it was released is that it created parallels to the corruption in the nation's capital and scared people. One of the reasons that I think film noir is still a somewhat active genre is that it's supposed to be a reflection of the time. It is a genre that explores people's rational fears, things that we don't quite know about, like political corruption and the effects of war. In my eyes, what defines film noir isn't the location or whether or not the protagonist wears a trench coat, but instead has to do with the characters and a greater meaning found within the story. We have to see our protagonist being carried along this long and twisty ride with no sense of control, being manipulated every sense of the way. Although we will probably never have a revival of film noir like we saw in the 1940s and 50s, there are still great movies being made today that fit into the mold of film noir.
I'm from LA. I viewed LA as a native. I never saw it as a strange land chronicled by outside writers. I grew up there. I sifted data and transfigured it kid style. It was diverse shit. Geography is destiny. My parents hatched me in a cool locale. I got dropped in LA, the film noir epicenter, at the height of the film noir era. Film noir was filmed here largely because the movie studios are here and it was cheap to shoot on location here. It's really just happenstance and monetary concern that has led LA to being the film noir place.
I want to report a murder.
Sit down. Where was this murder committed?
San Francisco, last night.
Who was murdered?
I was.
Here's a story that illustrates kiddie noir for me. And it also illustrates my very, very early alcoholism. Around Christmas in 1957, when I was 9 years old, my old man took me to see a movie on Hollywood Boulevard. Right after that, my old man took me for a stroll along Hollywood Boulevard. We went north on Cherokee, and he parked my 9-year-old ass down on the front stoop of a building. He did what he always did. He gave me a pat on the head and a comic book and said, "Don't roam. Kid, I'm going inside to see a friend." Well, he was going inside to see one of his numerous bitches, the biches. What did I do? I sat there and I skimmed my comic book, and I noticed a half-full bottle of red wine, uncorked. I drank it all. Something said, "Drink the booze." And I went window peeping. I went looking for women in windows. I was 9 years old. I've written a series of books, the LA Quartet, the Black Dahlia, the Big Nowhere, LA Confidential, and White Jazz, that were set in LA during the film noir era, specifically 1946 to 1958. The noir construction is a kernel within them. Sexual obsession. What happens when you meet a woman and it goes bad? Political corruption. Extreme ambition and its moral consequences.
Film noir is sort of the anti-myth. You know, Hollywood, in a sense, was created to sell people the idea of happily ever after, and I think film noir is the flip side of that. It's not going to end well. You can't count on a happy ending.
Noir is the most scrutinized offshoot of the hard-boiled school of fiction. It's the long drop off the short pier and the wrong man and the wrong woman in perfect misalliance. It's the nightmare of flawed souls with big dreams and the precise how and why of the all-time sure thing that goes bad. Noir's opportunity is fatality, social justice is a sanctified shuck, and sexual love as a one-way ticket to hell. We all know what the style is of film noir. German expressionism, shadows, high contrast, photography, the sense that you're in a dream state. Is this really happening or is it not? The films are photographed to give you a heightened sense of displacement. You feel swept away as you watch the films. You're inside somebody's dream or somebody's nightmare.
The dream isn't always going to come true.
Mr. Brown, tell him not to do it. I'll do anything you want. I'll go away. You'll never see me again. Please, Mr. Brown, don't just stand there and let him kill me. Please, Mr. Brown, I don't want to die. Tell him. Please tell him.
I feel sorry for you, Joe. So I'm going to do you a favor. You won't hear the bullets.
The general thinking is that somehow, because these films, most of the films, appeared right after the Second World War, that somehow the films were a response to the Second World War. I don't actually believe that's true. I believe that they were a response to the Great Depression in America, because most of the great stories that became noir were written during the 1930s, and they were commentaries on the state of America in the 1930s. They only made it to the screen in the late 1940s. Part of the reason was because Hollywood had to do its patriotic duty during the war and keep morale high. You know, there were a lot of propaganda films, you know, about the strength of the American character during World War II. But then after the war, it was like we could breathe this sigh of relief that, okay, we won. We've kept the world safe. Now we can actually take a little more serious look at who we are and these unfinished issues that were left over from the 1930s, where we had basically done it to ourselves. And this is really where noir was essential, in that it allowed artists to explore themes and characters that were sort of off limits when Hollywood was responsible for moral uplift.
And we're back. Okay, so that was a little preview of film noir and also the trailer. They didn't do much for trailers in the 1940s, so that was the trailer for the film. And Ian is with us. Hi, Ian, you're on the screen. Can you hear us? Hi. Nope, I can't hear you.
I muted
Yep.
myself because I was coughing.
Well, we're doing it live. So, do you have any comments on film noir or gaslighting again?
Um,
Or what we just saw, James Elroy peeping at windows, drinking alcohol at 9 years old. He said a voice told him to drink the alcohol, and you heard the voice, drink the alcohol. So I thought that was very telling.
yeah, it's internal processes leading to bad decisions, and then you're continuing those bad decisions and hurting somebody else with it.
Yeah, and yourself, which is really the most important.
Yeah.
And that the writer, one of the writers in the clips, said that he felt film noir came from the darkness that was caused by the Depression, which my grandmother lived through and passed some of that crap on to us. But you're a bit younger than me, Ian. Do you have any connections with the Depression?
Mm, I haven't heard stories from my grandparents about the Depression, but they were born in the early 30s. So I didn't really hear any stories from great grandma about the Depression or anything.
Yeah. Well, you know, the lockdowns and everything we just went through and what the World Economic Forum is planning looks like another depression, only this time basically permanent. What do you think about that?
Well, it looks like they engineered, well, from what I've gleaned from Richard Groves and James Corbett's research, they engineered that last depression to get everybody into to gaslight everybody into World War One. And
Precisely.
it started off with that pandemic for how many years did it last? 3, 4 years?
Was that the Spanish flu that didn't start in Spain?
Yeah, the Spanish flu that started in Kansas.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that I have smart friends. Thank you for being smart, Ian. I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's all, I'm just pulling stuff out of the logos.
Exactly. Okay, we have a quiet chat room tonight. But I believe that is because it is the holidays. And that's also why I made this a free version so that everybody could watch. It's kind of like a gift to everyone who needs it. But I think that we've hit on some very potent information that some people have never heard before. So I want to thank you for that.
Wasn't the Great Depression from the early 20s to the mid 30s?
Speak up or move your microphone closer to your mouth.
Sorry, wasn't the Great Depression from the mid 20s to the late, or to the?
I think it started in 1929, 1928, maybe.
All right, we are on the internet.
You can look it up. That's what the internet's for. But we had a Great Depression night when I did a party as a tarot reader, and I had to make my sign like beware 1929 or something. Like I was warning them about the depression to come. But that's funny because we're also warning people about the depression to come in our generation.
1929 and 1939.
Say again?
That was between 1929 and 1939.
Wow, 10 years. And there, I don't know what stopped it. I don't know what.
Well, 1939 is when, in the middle of the Second World War.
Oh, I see. The money-making machine.
Yep. Spanish flu, 1918 to 1920.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It really is like a playbook, isn't it, Ian?
Riri remix. 1929, 1930. October 24th, Black Tuesday.
Black Tuesday.
That was when the stock market completely bottomed out.
And we know with the Great Reset, they're trying to push us all into a CBDC. Basically, well, they'll pay us like we're all on welfare and control everything about us. And if our social credit score isn't high enough, then we'll probably starve and die.
Okay, here's some more. Between
Okay.
1929 and 1932, the worldwide gross domestic product fell by an estimated 15%. So Wall Street and any small investors lost their ass.
Well, we've just seen the largest wealth transfer in the history of people. We just haven't felt all the effects yet, I would imagine.
Richard could probably expand more on the stock market manipulation during that time.
Yeah, so he's talking about Richard Grove, and Richard Grove's show is here on Rokfin, and it's called Grand Theft World, and we love it. We've met in chat rooms. I believe that's how Ian and I even met in the first place, but he's also been very supportive of me on Rokfin, so thank you, Ian, for supporting me.
You're welcome. It's always great to support independent creators. That's how we break through the veil.
Exactly, precisely. Break on through to the other side. Okay, I'm going to add the film to the stream. Okay, we've got digitally remastered by the FBI, National Archive, supported by Mohammed S. Farsi Foundation. Interesting, huh? Farsi? I thought that was a religion.
Mohammed S. Farsi. Well, let's look up Mohammed S. Farsi.
Go for it. And so I believe the film itself is an hour and just under 30 minutes. So it's a shorter film. Last Saturday, we did Brave New World with Yona Anawodi, and that was 3 hours of film plus chat. So that was forever. And I kept telling myself, reminding myself, this is a short film. Don't worry about it. It won't be that hard. But I'm really glad to be here with you all this evening, exploring this very important topic right before you're all going to see your friends and family, hopefully, in the holidays, and maybe take some quiet time to contemplate why I'm showing this film right now. And also, I'd like to shout out to a client, Michelle. She helped me come up with this idea. Now, I've saved this film for over a year because I knew I wanted to put it out there because we were all being gaslit by the governments and by friends and family too. And so when she brought up a topic where I was like, oh my gosh, I need to play that film. And so she helped inspire this for this evening. So thank you, Michelle. Okay, what did you find, Ian?
Canadian soccer player.
Oh, really? Yeah, because Google's broken, dude. To look up like 1940
I'm
Farsi.
on London-based grant-making foundation.
Say that again.
It says it's a London-based grant-making foundation.
Oh, so they got a grant. Yeah, that makes sense.
Muhammad S. Farsi Foundation.
Yeah, you found it. Do you want to see what Farsi actually means? Because I thought it was a form of spirituality, like a religion.
I think it is.
And shout out to everybody in the chat. Hello out there. You can chat among yourselves. That's why we're here as a community, to hang out together, get to know each other, and learn.
Oh, it's a Persian language.
Oh, it's a Persian language.
Language of Iran. Iranian language.
Wow, cool.
All right.
I know a lot about spirituality, but not about these other things.
Yeah, I'm not quite an encyclopedia.
No, nor do I want to be. That's too much crap in my head. I prefer working on my heart than my intellect. Went way crazy in my 20s, and I was overly intellectual, and I found that that's a flaw. That's a character flaw, and I fixed it.
Okay. Muhammad S. Farsi. We are a London-based grant-making foundation funding charities and social enterprise around the world, working in healthcare, education, international development, arts, and culture.
Sounds like United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely connected.
Let's go with our impact.
So he's on their website, guys. This is really cool.
For the last 10 years, FSS has honored the extraordinary work of over 100 partners located across 15 different countries.
This is a connected network, yeah. And they put money up for this film.
South Kent School, Be Well Collective, UCLA, School of Film, Theater, and Television, University of College London.
And isn't it interesting? The first one was made in London. This first film was made in England. And then the second film was made in Hollywood. So they really wanted to get this message out there. And we just have to flip the script. In one way, it could teach narcissists how to gaslight others. And I would say they're more on that side of things than on the side of awakening.
Arab women filmmakers. In 2015, MSFF launched its flagship Arab Women Filmmakers Initiative at the Cannes Film Festival through a partnership with the preeminent UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television.
So they're all still connected. That's amazing. It's like multi-generational.
University College London. Faith Matters.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for giving us that report. Okay, I'm going to bring up the film.
British Film Institute. Oh, Amnesty International. There we are.
Oh my goodness. Who started Amnesty Internet? That's a thing too, isn't it? I mean, I'm not recalling right now, but I do know.
I think these are donations. Oh, this goes by year, 2016, 2015. Save the Children. Children
Uh-oh.
affected by the Syrian conflict, which has now entered its 8th year in 2015.
So they collect money and they probably pay for war with it. I mean, I'm not cynical. I just know the truth about things.
Action Against Hunger, Adorers, Blood of Christ, United States region. I think these are donation
Right.
places
People
they
that
donate.
donate to the foundation.
Firefighters charity.
They're very connected, but that's cool. Let's move on. Thank you so much for looking that up. We're coming up almost at the top of the hour. So that means that we've been having fun for about an hour. And I want to thank everyone in the chat, even though you're quiet. Thank you for being here with us. We hope you snuggle in and get a little snack, get a little coffee if you like, or a little hot chocolate. I've promised myself hot chocolate later. And we'll get on with the show.
Oh shit, I should not have clicked that. Center for Social Justice, London, 2013.
No. It all goes somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, I did not want to click on a CO UK site.
All roads lead back to Rome.
Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund, National Portrait Gallery.
Well, that's a rabbit hole, guys, if you want to look up more about who made this film. But I would like to start now. And here we go. And we could always look up the Anglo-American Film Corporation Limited if we want to later on. I mean, you know,
No,
I'd
they
like to
don't.
get on the movie.
I'm not seeing any sustainable development goal anywhere
not
on this website. So
If you dig long enough, I'm sure you'll find the green agenda is also with them.
I like giving water. I'm not gonna find the negative in everything, but I think this looks like a foundation that's trying to bring people up, creating access to solar lighting in Africa, Clarity Water Initiative, providing students in Uganda with a daily meal.
Yeah, I don't trust any of that stuff.
Archaeology Development Foundation. All right. You can get back to where you want.
Okay, cool. I'm going to start the film, but I'm going to mute myself. And let's have the film do its own thing. So I'm going to take us both off the screen for a little bit. And I don't know if you know, there's a chat within our StreamYard that you and I can chat with each other. If you look on the far right, there is a private chat button, and you can use that. And I can message you when we're about to come back on. So I just like to watch a little bit of the film all by itself, and then we'll come back on the screen. Okay? Here we go. I just want to say number 12 is the hanged man in the tarot. And if you look up the hanged man, you'll find a lot of aspects of that within this film.
Don't see no one taking that house yet a while.
Nor me.
Blimey, it works.
Nancy, hurry, hurry. They're coming along now. I saw the cab down the square. Oh, give me the duster. afternoon, Nancy.
Good afternoon, Mum. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
What a beautiful voice he has, hasn't he?
Those are the melons from number 12.
Yes, I thought we might call on them.
Not in London, it wouldn't be correct. My dear, I said no.
Only 2 maids.
I hear he's a foreigner, but he looks most respectable.
Come on, come.
All right behind.
See Mr. Rough, John?
Over there with Annabelle.
Excuse me, sir. There's a message from the vet about the mare. He says... All right, sir.
I've seen a ghost come.
What, here, sir?
The ghost of a man out of my past.
Oh, you mean when you were in the police force, sir?
Most of my ghosts are criminals, but this one wasn't. I know the story of the house he lives in. I was on a case there once when I was a young peeler. Louis Barr, the nephew of old Alice Barlow that was murdered 20 years ago. Louis Barr. A foreigner he was, and very cut up, I remember. Funny he should come back to 12 Pimlico Square after all these years.
12 Pimlico Square is Mr. Mallon's house, sir.
Nonsense, Louis Barr. Right face, right house.
No, you were wrong, sir.
Impossible. What do you know about it, anyway?
Well, it's the parlour maid, sir. You see, she's a friend of mine. The family's name is Mallon.
They live at number 12?
Yes, sir. Leastways, part of it. Nancy says they don't use the top 2 stories. Bit queer, Nancy says. Means less dusting for her, though. Mrs. Mallon's queer, too.
Queer, is she? In what way?
Well, she's sort of odd in her mind. She does strange things. Nancy says Mr. Mallon gets very upset. He goes out every night. It's a very queer place.
Yes, it does sound queer. I want you to see as much of her as you can.
What, the mayor, sir?
No, you're Nancy.
Oh, she's not mine, sir. I'm only one of the pebbles on the beach, so to speak.
Well, you play up to her. I want to know everything that goes on. I believe I'm going to be very interested in number 12. A dirty evening for a stroll, sir? There's a lot of dirty things in London.
Bella, what are you doing?
Nothing, Paul. Don't wake up.
What are you doing, Bella?
Thought I heard the muffin man.
And why didn't you ring for Nancy to find out?
Thought it would mean 2 journeys for her.
Ring for Nancy, Bella. What do you suppose the servants are for?
To serve us, I suppose, dear. Nancy, I rang the muffin man.
Oh, I thought you rang for tea, Mum. I was just bringing it up.
Oh, then it's too late for muffins.
Not at all, my dear, not at all. Nancy, spread the cloth, lay the tea things, go down and get the muffins, cook the muffins, and bring up the muffins.
You see, my dear, it's all quite simple. Light the gas, Nancy.
Yes, sir.
You're looking very impudent and pretty tonight, Nancy. More broken hearts.
I don't know, I'm sure, sir.
Where do you get the color for your cheeks, Nancy? Could you not give the recipe to Mrs. Mellon?
Oh, no, sir. I'm natural. Will that be all you're wanting, sir?
Yes, Nancy, that'll do for the present.
Call as though I'd do anything to my face or ask for her assistance if I did.
Oh, Bella was only trifling with her.
So humiliating for me. That girl laughs at me enough as it is.
Oh, nonsense, Bella. You know perfectly well how you imagine things.
Don't say that. I have been better the last 2 weeks, haven't I?
What do you mean?
You know very well what I mean, but I've been trying so hard. And I have been better because you've been kind to me. I'll be perfectly all right if only you'll be patient and gentle with me.
Of course, my dear, of course. Shall I stay in this evening?
Would you?
Mm-hmm. What shall we do?
Tea first.
And then I'll pay for you.
We'll have an evening just like we used to. What is it?
I've just noticed something. If you put it right while I'm not looking, I will say no more about it.
What's the matter? I don't understand. Paul, don't turn your back on me.
Look on the wall behind you.
Picture, it's gone again.
Yes. Where have you hidden it this time?
I didn't take it. Why should I take it? It's no use to me.
Why should you take other things? Pencils, knives.
Paul, don't.
Bella, where's the picture?
I didn't take it. I swear I didn't.
Come. Get the picture.
I'd know if I touched it. I'd remembered. I've been better lately. You've missed nothing. For days, for 2 weeks, I've been well. I've had no headaches, no dreams. Why should I take the...
So you did know where it was.
I promise you I didn't. I only supposed it was here because it was found here twice before.
Why do you persist in lying to me, Bella?
It's the truth.
Bella, if you're not lying, there's only one alternative. You're losing your wits.
Promised you'd never say that to me again.
No control even of your hands. You'd better go to your room.
No, not my room. I can't bear to be alone. Oh, God, help me.
God help you indeed.
going to appeal to you, Paul. Please, please don't be angry with me. I've never lied knowingly to you. If I took the picture or your ring or your pencil, I didn't know. You must bear with me, Paul.
I don't know how much longer I can keep my patience. Eavesdropping, Nancy?
No, sir. I didn't hear anything, honey. I was just carrying the muffins and
Your mistress is a very unusual woman. Quite strange, you know. You mustn't let things you hear and see in this house upset you. You're a young girl, inexperienced. You are inexperienced, aren't you?
Depends how you mean, sir.
Thank you, Nancy.
like it. Isn't it a lovely day, Paul? Just look at the sunshine out in the square.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my letter?
What letter?
I haven't had one for such a long time. I do hope it's from Cousin Vincent. It isn't here.
Why should there be a letter for you?
Nancy told me there was one.
Oh, Bella.
Oh, she did, Paul.
But you've been through them yourself, dear. You see, they're all addressed to me.
Oh, I had so hoped. There must be a letter, Paul.
9 o'clock.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss...
The dog, Bella.
I'm sorry, Tilly. Won't be for long.
I will read from the 127th Psalm. Except the Lord build the house, the labor is not lost that build it. When they speak with their enemies in the gate. Let us pray.
Pimlico Square I was after.
Oh, number 14's the only empty house in the square, I'm afraid. We are the sole agents.
My pipe worrying you?
Not at all. Faces south, a little alley runs along the back, nothing to block out the light. But we'll have some difficulty, I'm afraid, Mr. Ruff.
Why is that?
The remainder of the lease of number 14 is in the hands of Mr. Mallon of number 12. And he's already refused 3 good offers.
Mr. Mallon of number 12? Why won't he let?
Do you know, I've often wondered. A queer profession, mine, Mr. Ruff. So near to so many people's lives, and yet always on the doorstep, as it were.
Yes, yes, indeed.
A fascinating study, human nature, Mr. Ruff.
Fascinating. You don't think there's much chance of that house being really on the market?
Well, if you want to make an offer, do so by all means. I sometimes wonder if it's the noise he's afraid of. The wife's a delicate woman, just had a breakdown, I understand. A charming creature. I've seen her often walking in the gardens of the square with her dog.
Gardens? Oh, sounds very pleasant.
Oh, they're charming, though.
Oh, I wonder how that happened, eh? Oh, my dear lady.
I'm all right, thank you. Where's my little dog?
Little savages, I hope you're not hurt, Mom.
No, not a bit.
No, you come and sit down over here.
Oh, no, I'm all right.
Oh, you can't possibly tell if you're hurt until you've had time to think it over. Doesn't matter so much when you've soft bones like those little rascals. I've a good mind to go and complain to the nurses.
Oh, it wasn't their fault. It was quite a... Oh, thank you. That is kind of you.
Fond of children, I see. Got any of your own?
No. I must go.
Well, you haven't counted all your bones yet. Oh, don't worry about me. I'm old enough to be a father. They're not what they used to be.
Who aren't?
Children.
Oh.
I should be ashamed if I couldn't bowl a better hoop than that, wouldn't you?
I never bothered about hoops. I was brought up in the country.
So was I. Whereabouts?
Devonshire.
Devonshire? What part?
I lived with some cousins near Exmouth.
I know Exmouth very well. I wonder if I've met them.
Their name was Ullswater.
Well, don't go yet. I was just getting interested.
Stop it, you rude little boys. It's disgraceful.
Oh, how dare you!
Poor little devils. I'd like to give them a taste of Devonshire.
Yes, a grass bank to roll down and some nice clean mud. Well, thank you for being so kind.
Toy shop.
I beg your pardon.
Something those little objects to play with. There is a toy shop across the road.
Oh, what a lovely idea. They do look so miserable.
Well, you'll have to come along, too, of course. I mean, that's the whole idea. Must have a woman about where brats are concerned, you know. I mean, they'd run a mile if I were to so much as call to them to come.
I'd love to see them enjoy themselves, but...
Well, what's to stop
well,
you?
my husband is out and he won't be back till tea time.
Then you'll be back in time to have it with him.
I don't want to be silly, but I don't know you.
Oh, this is charity, ma'am. That blows convention out of the window. Hey! Yes, I mean you children out there in the street. Come along, don't be afraid. I've got something for you.
Would you like some toys to play with? It is such a shame you can't go into the square, and this gentleman thought that...
Well, there's a toy shop over there. Tops, if you like, or hoops.
Do let's go across, shall we?
Oh, we've come to the wrong shop. Buns and ice cream are what they want.
Do you think we should?
Nonsense. Make them all sick. Do them a world of good. Well, now, you know what you want, don't you? Come on in. Here we are. Help yourselves.
Blimey, look at them lovely tarts.
Plenty more. Anything you like, in reason. That's right.
Bella.
And what exactly can we do for you?
Knock his block off.
You, who cannot control yourself in your own home, to risk such a thing with a complete stranger.
It was the children, Paul.
A horde of noisy street urchins. When you know the only hope for you is rest and quiet. Put the dog down. You're not listening to me.
I am listening. What are you going to do?
I told you before, I can't stand the dog in the drawing room.
I'm very fond of her, Paul.
It's not natural. Fuss you make over it. Sometimes I wonder if you even want to be like other people.
Why did you ever marry me, Paul?
When I married you, Bella, you were a normal woman. So I thought.
It's only since we came to this house that I've changed. I never wanted to come here. Yet it was my money that made it possible for you to buy it. Is that why you married me, Paul?
You have changed, Bella.
And what's made me change? What's made you change, Paul? Because you have in the way you treat me. I believe it's ever since that day when I found that old envelope addressed to Louis Bauer. That was the first time that you were angry with me like this.
Bella, I told you I had forgotten that incident. My only anxiety has always been to get you well.
I must get away from here. I'll never be well till I get away from this house just for you.
Come outside, Judy. Come along.
Yes, Buns.
Paul, I could. My cousins, the Ellswaters. It would be lovely to smell Devonshire again.
Your cousin, Mr. Vincent Alswater, at the effrontery to oppose our marriage.
Oh, but that's over and done with. Vincent won't mind now.
But I mind. I have no desire to reopen our acquaintance. Besides, I don't care to drag strangers into our trouble.
They're not strangers. They're my own people. They're all I have. I want to see them. I will see them.
If you see anyone, it will be a doctor.
No. No, not a doctor, Paul. I'm better. Please leave me alone, Paul.
But I don't see how I can take the responsibility for you any longer. Oh, Bella. Don't cry. You'll spoil your looks. And I wanted you to look very beautiful tonight.
So as you can see now, he's starting to be nice and he's wooing her because he wants to go out with her tonight. So he's obviously got something up his sleeve. And I'm just saying hi to everyone in the chat. And I'm here with Ian. Hi, Ian. How are you? Up, I can't hear you. Yeah. There
I'm
you
doing
go.
all right, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
Well, as
bringing a
I
lot of thoughts to mind.
exactly.
This guy is being portrayed as a snively whiplash kind of character.
Yes. Indeed.
Tying the poor maiden to the train tracks.
Yes. I have had clients watch this film because they were going through difficult situations in which they were experiencing this. So that's why I'm bringing it to everyone, because I think it's an important lesson that we could all have more of, right?
Oh, definitely. Sometimes people have to recognize what's going on, and especially what's going on within themselves.
Mhm. And for me personally, movies teach me. Like, I'm an audiovisual learner. So I don't just watch a movie. I'm in it in a lot of ways, like a dream. Like they were saying about film noir, it is as if you are in someone else's dream. And I agree with that. And so we know about this film so far that there's an ex-police detective who thinks he knows who this gentleman is from the past, and that this gentleman came back to number 12, but he also owns number 14 and won't sell it, and nobody knows why. And then, of course, you saw him being dragged away from the children and the ex-cop, back into the house, and now being manipulated to go out with him this evening. So I think we're all caught up on the plot there. And we're still not chatting in the chat room, so I'm going to let that do its thing. But Ian and I are going to stay on the screen. I'm going to mute myself so that there's no echo, because sometimes there's an echo. But if you have any comments to make, Ian, you can just push your little button and unmute yourself and make that comment and then mute yourself again. But we're going to be on screen, if that's okay with you.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Here we go.
Have you any objections to being seen out with your husband?
Why, are you going to take me out?
There's a charity concert tonight at Winterbourne House. I could get tickets, I know Lady Winterbourne.
Concert and you take me?
I should enjoy it, my dear, provided...
Oh, how wonderful.
Provided that you promise to control yourself. To behave as you know I'd wish my wife to behave.
I promise. What shall I wear?
Whatever you look prettiest in, my dear. There. Wear the cameo brooch I gave you when we got engaged.
I will.
So that was a bunch of buttering up. He totally buttered her up and got her excited about the evening.
My brooch, please, Nancy. The big cameo.
Yes, ma'am. It's not here, ma'am.
Oh, it must be.
Look underneath.
Oh, of course it's here. Let me look. Perhaps I left it in another dress.
Bella! Time to start.
Come in, Paul.
Nancy, my cloak.
Which one, ma'am?
Well, which one do you think?
Couldn't say, I'm sure, ma'am.
Oh. This will do.
And I don't know if you picked up the subtlety of that, that the maid is jealous of the lady of the house.
What a very lovely person. Charming. But not my brooch.
I would have worn it. You know how fond I am of it, only it didn't go with this dress.
Well, I wouldn't presume to criticize your taste. But your hair, is it quite right? Come, I hold that. It's 7:45, Bella.
I think I'm making it worse. My hand's quite shaky with excitement.
Ah, there's the cab.
I think I'm going to enjoy myself tonight.
Mr. John and Mr. Holt. Mr. and Mrs. Blair. Prince Hanover and Mr. Ryder. Mr. and Mrs. Mellon.
How do you do?
How do you do? May I introduce my wife?
How do you do?
How do you do?
A very good cause, isn't
Lady
it?
Frington, Miss Frington.
Splendid cause, don't you think?
Mr. Rawlings, Miss Rawlings.
Charming, quite a complexion.
You're the most beautiful of all.
I hope the stool is right.
Thank you.
Must have forgotten it. Don't worry about it now. I don't know anything about it, Paul.
It was my pocket when we left the house.
Paul, don't look at me like that.
Look at your back.
I didn't put it there, I swear I didn't. Will you be?
Control yourself, Bella. Please spare me a scene in public.
Paul!
Come. Sister. Lady Winterbourne, I do apologize. My wife, an attack.
Let me send for a doctor.
I don't think it's nothing unusual, unfortunately. Come along, darling, come along.
Paul, speak to me. Don't sit there silent. I can't stand it. Hit me, hurt me, do anything, but for pity's sake, speak to me. Oh, dear.
Paul, how can you torture me like this?
And have you not tortured me? You make my life a misery at home, and now you shame me in public. At least let's keep your stealing and pickpocketing and lying to ourselves.
I haven't lied to you. I didn't take your watch.
What about the brooch?
Brooch?
The one I asked you to wear tonight. The one that didn't go with your dress.
It's upstairs in my room.
More lies.
It is. It must be. It's only mislaid, Paul.
You've hidden it away in one of your mad dreams.
I have not. If it's gone, someone else has taken it.
Someone else. We see about someone else.
Hello there. Hi. I want to say hello and good evening, and thanks for stopping by to Sarah G in the chat. I met Sarah G at Flattoberfest, and she was doing healing work on people, and she's just a delight to have around. So welcome, Sarah G, to the chat room. Do you have anything to say at this point, Ian? Sarah, Ian, Sarah. You may be muted, Ian. There you go.
Hey, Sarah.
Very cool. You were having a light chat room tonight, Sarah, so hang in there. Hopefully we'll get some people talking. Okay.
We're seeing a lot of him purposefully doing wrong and blaming her for it.
I'm identifying with her so hard right now.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard not to. It's like somebody's purposely doing wrong and then they blame you for your reaction to it.
And as a heterosexual woman, I can say that that man is very alluring, attractive, dapper even. And that might have been part of how he snagged her. And when we fall in love,
wealthy.
Well, no, she's the wealthy one. So
Oh,
she's the one with the money.
Hmm.
He is supposed to be the charming debonair who swept her off her feet, right? All the time with a plan, with a design. So I'm not identifying with him at all at this point, but I see some of my exes and some of my ex-friends in his reflection.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of certain people I can think of. Yeah.
Yes. So it's nice to be able to identify with a film. Yeah. And so Sarah G says, I've never seen this movie, but it's a bit rough so far. Ouch. And that's why I do this. I know, ouch. I understand that watching something like this is going to bring up your past, and for some people, they're very present, like what's going on right now with them. And this is a form of counseling. And it's like putting a hot compress on is it, basically, to bring it to the surface so that you can deal with it. Because when the boogeyman is in our subconscious mind, when we're throwing it in the back of our head, in the back of the room, then we're not going to be dealing with the issue. It's just going to fester there like a boil, basically. So that when we take the time and the energy and love ourselves enough to watch films like this, it's going to bring up any ick that we may have harbored in our subconscious. That's why I do it. Does that make sense, Ian?
Yeah. And it seems like I don't know where I was going with this thought. I lost it.
Oh, it happens. I'll give you a minute because Sarah said he's a sexy psychopath, speaking about the main character. And I would agree. And I've been attracted to sexy psychopaths in the past, not murderers necessarily, but people with very damaged personalities that got that in their childhood usually. And then they're in a sense of denial. So when they're explaining their childhood or they bring their true self supposedly to you, they're not sharing those aspects of their past. And so you may have no idea how messed up a person is until messed up, I mean unhealed and not self-loving. So you may not have any idea of their depravity even unless you're intuitive and you start poking around and asking for answers. Like, but that takes an inquisitive person. And I've always been that way. That's why I never stayed with the psychos long because it's like, wait, your story, it doesn't make sense. So, yeah. Have you dealt with this in the past, in your past?
Oh, yeah, there was homosexual I had with me, and she would basically project stuff that she was doing onto me. And, like, she went out with her ex-boyfriend and spent the night, and she swore up and down, but found out eventually.
I think that when you're intuitive, and I know you are, Ian, that you're very intuitive, we do find out. You know, it's almost like a karmic thing, but also, like you were saying earlier, they have tells like a poker player.
Yeah, this guy is very portrayed as very smooth and very subtle with it.
Cat-like almost.
Yeah.
He's a sneaky MFer.
Yeah, it's more subtle than nowadays, where some people have unresolved traumas that they keep projecting onto other people.
Exactly. 9/10 of the law. I would say that's happening in most households these days. It's not a rare occurrence. It's very, very, very common. We just don't realize how important this is, this topic, you know, because we're so used to the crappy life, I suppose. But when you
Yeah.
start meditating and you start getting into self and knowing self, that reflects and shows you everything that's going on around you and how people are reacting to you.
This movie is portraying this type of relationship as one-sided, where sometimes it could be both-sided, where you're bouncing the negative off of each other and it just keeps getting worse.
Yes, that's the battle royale.
Whereas this one's portraying it as just the guy doing wrong, or one
Exactly.
personality doing wrong and the other personality is innocent.
Exactly. And she's so innocent that she's had no experience in life. I think she's young and she just doesn't even, it doesn't even cross her mind that somebody could be after her. But she did ask, "Did you marry me for my money?"
Nowadays, it's what money?
Right. So Sarah G says gaslighting is the main meme currently, i.e., all the non-vaxxers are dying. Vegetables, what? Vegetables will give you COVID, etc. Interesting. And she also said that this gentleman is joyless, which I totally agree. And yes, Sarah, we were talking earlier about how this matches with lockdown and how we were treated by our governments, how we were gaslit.
I think they might have taken this as an instruction booklet on how to manipulate the mind.
And that's why I think we have two versions of this film. The British started it because that's what they do. And then it came to America because we're still pretty much ruled by the British and the global New World Order. Yes.
I hate to say it, but some people view this film, they could project their own gaslighting onto other people.
Precisely. It could be, like you said, an instruction manual to teach people how to be jerks. And I consider that's why they made the film, because it's all programming, right? As we've seen in my mind control series that you can see on Rokfin, there's a lot of programming. Programs are programming, but it depends on where your mind and heart are, what you're looking at. They say eyes to see and ears to hear. What side, good or evil, are your eyes to see and ears to hear? Are you picking up all the negative tones so that you can use them? Or are you identifying with this lily white, innocent rose woman who just doesn't have a clue? And I would say that she's self-neglecting because she's in love with the sexy psychopath. So she's shutting herself down in order to try to nurture that relationship, which is actually killing her. So in a way, I see her as her own prisoner at this point in the film.
Yeah, she's not recognizing what's going on, and she's very naive to.
And she's from the country. She's a country girl, you know. She can't even get letters from her cousin because he pockets them.
We see this guy with intent doing wrong and telling her she's doing wrong. And I think we could see that more in the macrocosm than the microcosm.
Indeed.
Sometimes we both do wrong and then we're projecting onto each other.
I think that's a really good point because the film is completely one-sided, the complete innocent. But to me, I was trying to point out she's not innocent if she's not protecting herself. Then she's not being a good person. To be a good person, or a good girl, as I call it, you need to protect yourself from this kind of harm. So at this point, she's almost in a self-harm situation as well. So she's not innocent in my eyes. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for hanging out, Sarah. We are about halfway through the film, and we're going to go back to the film. Okay, let's mute.
Elizabeth, Nancy, come up to the drawing room at once, please.
Paul, please don't question the servants in front of me.
Oh, dear, dear, what's happened now?
Mistress been playing him up again, I suppose.
There you are, Tilly. Go into your basket. There you are. Stop titivating yourself. Come on.
Paul, please don't have that girl up here. At least let me look again first.
Can I get you to mute yourself, Ian?
Don't you giggle so much. Behave yourself.
It may have fallen behind the dressing table. Let's talk this over between ourselves. Please, please don't let the servants know.
We'll be right back, kids.
Shut the door, please, Elizabeth. Come into the room. You know the cameo brooch your mistress often wears?
Yes, sir.
And you, Nancy?
Yes, sir.
It is missing. Do you know anything about it? I want you to think carefully before you answer, Elizabeth.
No, sir, I don't.
You will please kiss the Bible in token of your truthfulness. Thank you. And you, Nancy, have you ever touched the brooch?
No, sir, of course I haven't.
Thank you. You may go. Be careful what you do. Don't commit sacrilege as well.
This is no sacrilege. I swear by Almighty God that I neither took your watch nor hid away the brooch.
Then you are mad. You unhappy creature. And you'll get worse until you die. Raving in an asylum.
Where the devil are you going, Nancy?
I came to see if there were any letters for the post, sir.
Are you expecting to meet somebody on your way to the post?
Only a gentleman friend, sir?
So I suppose.
Well, are there any letters, sir?
Come in for a moment, will you? Let me have a look at your hair.
Very good, sir. Is there anything more you want, sir?
Perhaps. Come closer, will you?
Yes, sir. Is there anything you want, sir?
There. Can she do that for you?
I believe you're jealous of your mistress, Nancy.
Huh? She's a poor thing. That's better than one of her sick headaches, ain't it?
Yes, Nancy, I believe it is.
You're mine now, aren't you? Because you want me.
And do you want me?
I've always wanted you. When shall we meet?
I'll let you know.
Not tonight.
No, I have to go out again. Go along now, there's a good girl.
Very well. You shall be master for a bit longer.
Hello, I wanted to say hi to Grounded Extracts who has joined the Rokfin chat. Hello out there. And they said hi to Sarah G, so they might know each other. That'd be awesome. I'm just saying hello to the chat and letting you know that we are here.
Good night, your lordship.
That you, Cobb?
Yes, sir.
All quiet?
Well, the constable passed about 10 minutes ago, sir.
Yes, I reckon they can't get back from that concert before 11. That'll give me time to find out what he gets up to in number 14.
The only thing is, sir, I usually meet Nancy when she comes out at 9 o'clock to post the letters. Well, she never came.
Well, we'll have to risk it. You wait about. If Nancy does come out, squeeze her dry. Of information, I mean.
So for those just joining us, They're going into number 14, I believe, which is next door, although it says number 12 on the screen. I believe they're going into the other apartment that has been rented by the gentleman, the main character in this movie. So that is the cop and ex-cop, and he is going to investigate.
Good evening, Nancy. You're late.
Hello, nice of you to wait. Such goings on. Master made us swear things, kissing the Bible and all.
Master, but I thought they were at the concert.
Oh, they came back early. Must have had another row. Come on, I'm going to take the letters.
Well, look, let me take them for you. It'll save you the trouble.
Oh, I like a bit of air. And a change.
One more thing about the tarot cards and numbers. The main characters live in number 12, which is the Hanged Man, which goes along with this entire film, if you read the meaning of the Hanged Man. But now we're in 14, and 14 is Temperance. And on the tarot card of Temperance is an angel balancing waters. And so we can say that at number 14, when that becomes prevalent, the story is shifting. So I do watch movies, if they've got numbers in them, through the scope of the tarot.
Upstairs, there's someone moving. Elizabeth! Oh, dear, is there no one?
It's all right, ma'am. I'm coming.
Oh, Elizabeth, there is someone upstairs. Someone moving.
There, ma'am. Don't take on so. There isn't anybody in the house, only you and me. You mustn't let yourself imagine things. Come into your room and drink your milk.
But I don't imagine things, Elizabeth. It's true. You can hear it. Listen.
A moment ago there was, and the gas dimmed, as it does when someone turns on another light in the house. Did you turn on another light, Elizabeth?
No, ma'am. There's no one in the house but us. Nancy's out and the master.
It did a minute ago.
There, ma'am. There's only something wrong with the pipes. You must have dropped off and been dreaming you heard something.
That's right, Elizabeth. Dreaming.
Even the older maid is now in on it because she's what? She's following the narrative.
But I dream things when I'm awake. I'm going out of my mind, Elizabeth.
Oh, ma'am, you mustn't say such things.
Did you know, Elizabeth?
Well, the master did say something, but...
I once knew a girl who died in a lunatic asylum. I remember her eyes. That was how they first knew.
If there's anything I can do, ma'am...
No, thank you, Elizabeth. There isn't anything anybody can do.
And now, at this point, I would say she's following the narrative, that the music and everything you can see, she's coming to a place of complete self-abandonment. She's abandoning herself and what she knows to this narrative that everyone around her is telling her is the truth. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yes, come.
There's a letter from Australia, sir.
Australia? Give it to me. Cobb, I really am a remarkable man.
Yes, sir.
It's my memory. Amazing. They shall have it for the museum when I die. With any luck, this should help us. When's Nancy's next night out?
Well, tonight, sir.
Yes, I wish it was Mrs. Mellon's instead. Still, it all goes to show that I'm on the right lines, as usual. All I want now is evidence.
Evidence of what, sir?
Well, I'm certain that he's Louis Bauer. And I've a shrewd idea of what he's up to in that house. Can't prove it, of course. The only one who can help us is that poor woman.
And she's crazy.
She will be if she stays there much longer.
Does she know that he's not Mallon?
Don't think so. But she knows something. That's her danger. That's why we've got to get her away from him. Out of that house.
That's easier said than done, sir.
Cobb!
What is it?
A gentleman to see the governor.
It's a stranger, sir. Shall I talk to him?
Thank God you're here, sir. Come along in.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know he was a friend
Never
of yours.
seen him in my life before.
You, Mr. Brown?
That's right.
I got your letter. I'm
Mr. Vincent Alswater from Devonshire.
Yes.
Come along and sit down, sir. I've got a lot to talk to you about.
Your boots, sir.
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Mellon is in her room.
Yes, sir. I think she's got an headache, sir.
Did you ever know a time when Mrs. Mellon did not have a headache, Nancy?
Hardly ever, sir.
And when is your next evening out, Nancy?
Tonight, sir.
And where do you usually pass the evenings with your gentleman friends, Nancy?
Oh, walking around the square, sir. Or in the park.
And perhaps it would be departing too much from tradition if you were to come with me to a music hall.
Oh, do you mean it?
I always mean what I say. I shall meet you at 7:50 at the corner of the square.
You're a rum un. I thought you was never going to do nothing.
That'll do, Nancy. Answer the bell.
Is Mrs. Mallon at home?
What name shall I say, sir?
Her cousin, Mr. Owlswater.
Oh, very good, sir.
How do you do? How do you do? Will you come in here for a moment? See that Mrs. Mallon is not informed of this call.
Very good, sir.
I hope you'll forgive me for calling at this hour, but I happen to be in London and I'd hoped to see Bella.
I'm sorry, but my wife is unable to see you.
Mr. Mallon, this is a little difficult to explain, but you may remember that at the time of your marriage, there was a slight friction between us.
I was peculiarly alive to the fact.
My sister and I have long regretted these differences. They've kept us separated from Bella too long.
In your opinion?
We're anxious to see her again, have her stay with us in Devonshire. The air always used to do her so much good down there.
You're under the impression she's ill?
Well,
And what has given you that impression?
She was never strong.
I'm the best guardian of my wife's health.
All the same, I should like to see my cousin.
Bella was with me when we heard you arrive. If she had wished to see you, she would not have asked me to speak to you down here.
She refused to see me.
The inference appears to me perfectly clear.
I don't think I like your tone, Mallon.
You're under no obligation to listen to it, Mr. Owlswater.
I'm not going to leave this house until I've seen my cousin.
You propose to interfere between a husband and wife. That would require physical force, Mr. Owlswater. Nancy, will you please show this gentleman out?
Yes, sir. Vincent. Paul, I've just seen Vincent out in the square. Has he been here?
Yes, he's been here.
And you let him go without seeing me. Paul, why didn't you tell me?
So you did write to him?
Right.
Against my express orders, you went behind my back and complained to your cousins.
But I didn't. I've never written to them.
How did he know this address?
I don't know.
Or that you'd been ill?
I don't know.
What else did you tell him?
Nothing. I never wrote.
What lies about me have you told him?
Paul, if I had written, which I didn't, do you suppose I'd have said a word to my cousins against my husband?
You think I can trust the insane ravings of a mad woman?
Paul, don't say that.
Your mind is diseased. You are as witless as an animal.
Paul, I'm desperate. If I do the things you say, then I am going mad. It's when you're angry with me like this, my head aches and my mind gets tired. You must help me, Paul. If you were afflicted, I would be gentle. I should love you more.
Let go of my arm.
Paul, how can you be so cruel? You used not to be. It's only since we came to this hateful, horrible house that everything's changed.
Must be because of that envelope I found. Who was Louis Bauer?
There's no such person as Louis Bauer.
And why should that have changed our lives? Just a name on an old envelope.
There was never even an envelope! That was the beginning of your madness. Then I realized you were a half-witted creature who pried through my desk and my papers. But this is the end. You're not only mad, you are dangerous. You're going to see a doctor, madam.
No, Paul. Not a doctor.
More than one doctor tomorrow morning.
Oh, I'm too tired. Paul, if you ever loved me.
I hate you.
And so I just wanted to point out that that was him projecting. This is my projector. So he's totally projecting everything about him straight onto her, making her the victim of his own illness, unwellness, and bad heart. And he obviously has a black heart.
You are utterly repulsive to me.
What I can't understand is my cousin not wanting to see her.
Well, you've only got his word for it.
Well, she's his wife. I couldn't force him to let me see her. But surely there must be something we can do to help her.
There's nothing you can do now. It won't do to let him get really afraid of your interference. This chamomile will take you back to your hotel.
Oh, it's very kind of you. But I hate leaving you to deal with all this. After all, I am her cousin.
Well, I can perhaps use methods that you can't. I may need your influence to get a warrant if I can't get my evidence.
Good.
But he won't risk anything that'll lead to an inquiry afterwards.
And in the meantime, you know where to find me. Anderton's Hotel.
Jim, Anderton's Hotel.
Come on.
Okay, we've got another chatter. Hey, any word out there in the chat. We have had any word here at other sessions, basically. And so thanks for coming in. And any word says, I wonder what percentage of the population are gaslighters by nature? And that was an excellent question. So I wanted to bring that up. And Sarah G says maybe 70+%. So that is her educated guess.
Well, what if we have gaslighters who have been gaslit, gaslighting each other, and it just continues on in a circle of incorrect behavior?
Exactly. Neither of them aware of the self. They don't know themselves. And that's the crux of the issue. And they're reliving their childhood trauma in a couple romantic situation. Or sometimes this can happen between parents and children. It can, in any relationship.
It can happen in friends groups.
Very much so. Especially if you're in like a clique, like a high school type clique, then there's a narrative going around. Like I don't hang out with people that are dealing with narratives, and I don't let my friends tell me many stories about their other friends that I don't know, because I don't need to know that drama. That's what I do for a living. I deal with people's trauma as a tarot reader and as a psychic counselor. So I've made these hard, fast rules in my life to keep me healthy.
Well, you can see this in a friends group. Say they all suffer the same trauma, and then they continue trauma on each other.
Exactly, precisely.
It's just feeding off each other over and over again.
You know what? That is an excellent point, because when he put that little grass in his mouth when he was talking to the maid, I thought, well, that's him trying to be sexy. But the wife, said that she always had a headache and felt bad when he would act that way. And I was like, it's because he's a vampire. He is literally sucking the light right out of your aura. And I think people that do this are energy predators or energy vampires.
Some people don't even realize they're doing it either. They're just feeding off of each other. And a cycle of trauma that continues itself.
Yeah. And that's because they don't know themselves. Right? And what we saw back in Greece thousands of years ago, know thyself over the Oracle of Delphi. And it's in the Matrix, so a little modern version.
I have that engraved on my pinky ring of the Vitruvian Man.
Whoa, that's really neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, know thyself, kids. It's the most important thing you could possibly do. In order to even know God or the divine, you must know thyself. And the more knowing thyself that you do, the closer you actually get to the divine.
It's all about self-actualization and self-realization. Can you be better than today, tomorrow? But that involves getting yourself out, realizing what's wrong and what could be better.
Precisely. You're good for this. I like doing this with you, Ian. Thank you.
I get a lot of people that come to me asking me for stuff, and I just kind of pull it out of the air.
Well, the air. What is the air but spirit? And
Air sign. Dang it. Aquarius. Psychic
are you an
energy.
Aquarius?
No, I'm a Taurus.
Who's the Aquarius?
Well, we're in the Aquarian age.
I'm an Aquarius. But I didn't know if you were talking about somebody.
Oh, no. I have a lot of friends that are Aquarius, but we're in the Aquarian age.
We are.
And apparently it happened well before we even realized it. Carl Jung was talking about it, about the Sibylline books, that we are now in the Aquarian age of psychic energy.
Excellent. I always go back to the Kali Yuga because things are so hard this lifetime for everyone, not just for some who are just going through a lot of lessons so that they can grow their soul. That's the whole point of this. And that again brings us back to knowing the self. How can you grow your soul from lead to gold unless you are searching within for the self? So, and Sarah G says that this guy is a nasty entity clinger. One may be unconscious of it. And that's true. So somebody who is actually acting out these negative emotional patterns usually has some kind of attachment, a spiritual attachment that is telling them to do these things. Just like when we saw in the very beginning of the show, Elroy, the writer of Noir, said that a voice told him to drink the wine at 9 years old, and he imitated the voice, and it was a dark voice. And so we understand this is all spiritual warfare, every single bit of it.
Psychic entities can feed off of you just as you can feed off of each other's negative emotions.
Precisely. And I find in their shadow relationships, I call them shadow relationships, when we're going through the really hard romantic relationships or even friendship circles and stuff. But that's when the shadow comes in, and you're either agreeing to that shadow or you're looking for the way out. And that's where this woman, I think that she's starting again to look for the way out.
Some people just are consumed by shadow and they're never searching for light. They're lost in the darkness.
That's super sad, dude. But it's true. It's just super sad.
Don't even realize the light's there. It's just fog.
Well, I believe that that's not just this lifetime. I don't think you can damage a soul enough in one lifetime to bring that fog about. I think that has to happen many lifetimes in a row. So it's an interesting thing. I do past life regressions if anyone is interested, but we'll get back to the show now. I'm going to take a little break, but we'll get back to the show.
Mr. Ruff. Mr. Ruff, sir.
What's the trouble?
It's Mrs. Mallon, sir.
What's happened?
He's going to have her certified in the morning.
How do you know?
Well, Nancy heard. I was going out
Come
with her
to the
tonight.
point, boy.
Well, I waited and I saw Nancy and Mr. Mallon get into a cab.
Where have they gone to?
Well, I heard him tell the driver to go to Canterbury Music Hall.
This is our chance.
Where are we going?
Save your breath. You'll need it later on.
For one
long year and 2 long months, 3 weeks, 4 days, 5 hours. At last I went to court in one of nature's fairest flowers, Miss Seraphina Honeyman, who caused a deep sensation in the region of my heart. But now I'm full of aggravation. For it's very aggravating when your love's not true.
Enjoying yourself?
I'd say so, aren't you?
Immensely.
That's going to be one long holiday for you after tomorrow. Bachelor.
Oh, Elizabeth, it's you. Help me to move this. My brooch may have dropped behind. If only I can find my brooch, he may not send for the doctors.
A gentleman to see you, ma'am.
Oh, well, tell him my husband isn't in.
It's you he wants to see, ma'am, not the master, and he says it's urgent.
Vincent, he's come back. I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
Good evening, Mrs. Mellon.
You? But I thought
Last time we met, your husband interrupted us, but he won't this time.
I don't understand.
You will indeed, ma'am, very shortly. Now, you just sit down, make yourself comfortable. You're supposed to be going off your head, aren't you?
Who told you? Why do you say that?
Ladies and gentlemen, the can-can dancers. Direct from Paris, and I know you're going to like them. Of course, as I know more about what they're going to do than you do at the present, I hope you'll excuse my back.
The whole of this house was ransacked. The murderer had searched for those rubies all through the night. And the opinion of the police was that he found them and vanished with them.
They never caught him.
No. But suppose he didn't find those rubies after all. Suppose they were concealed in the walls or the floor of old Alice Barlow's bedroom. Which was the room above yours, Mrs. Mellon?
The footsteps.
What footsteps?
The gaslight going up and down.
The boy I love is up in the gallery. The boy I love is looking down at me. There he is, can't you see, waving his handkerchief as merry as a robin that sings on the tree. The boy I love is up in the gallery. The boy I love is looking down at me. There he is.
Here, what's the matter?
Come along.
But there's another train just starting.
I've had enough. Come along now, please.
That's what's made me sure my mind is going. Lying in my room watching the gaslight, listening for someone in a place where no one can go.
Oh, yes, they can. Along the roof from the empty house next door.
But what are you saying?
It fits. It all fits. Tell me, have you ever heard the name Louis Bauer?
It's a trap. I never said I found that envelope.
No.
It's a lie. Go away. Leave this house. I don't know
Come.
anything about it. I don't.
What do you know about Louis Bauer?
I thought I found an envelope addressed to him. It was when we first came here. That's what started my...
I've got it. I've solved it. I've saved you. God, what a marvelous man I am.
What are you talking about?
Your Mr. Mellon is my Mr. Louis Bauer. A criminal maniac who murdered his aunt and steals back to his own house at night, still searching for those rubies he couldn't find 20 years ago. And every time he lights the gas up in that room, so it dims down here.
When the light brightens, I hear his key in the door a few minutes afterwards. I can't stand it, my mind.
Oh, you're not going out of your mind, Mrs. Mellon. You're slowly and methodically being driven out of your mind. Why? Because quite by accident you got into his identity, and that made you dangerous to him. He couldn't get rid of you by ordinary means for fear of an inquiry. So he's driving you mad in order to discredit anything that you say as the ravings of a lunatic. Thank God you're not married to him.
Not married to him?
Certainly not. He married another lady long before he met you, and she's still alive.
How do you know?
I've been finding out things about Mr. Louis Bauer.
Where is this woman?
That's the trouble. Australia. That's 3 months away. By then it'll be too late to save you. That's why you've got to give me the evidence we need.
What evidence?
Any proof of Louis Bauer's identity.
But I don't know where to find it.
Well, you can tell me where to look.
Yes, but
In here?
you don't understand. To me, he's still my husband. I couldn't betray my husband.
You mean the man who betrayed you into thinking you were married to him?
That's different. That was before I knew him. We've lived together as husband and wife. If I betrayed him, I'd be betraying myself.
Even although I tell you that at this moment, he's sitting in a music hall with another woman. Your parlor maid.
Is that true?
It's hard to take everything from you, but I'm afraid it is.
You go straight in and I'll follow you in a moment.
What you gonna do?
We'll take a little stroll.
When we go out again?
I'll let you know.
Ooh. I know you will.
He keeps his papers in there.
Ah, then this is where we start.
But it's locked.
Good. That means there are probably some things inside that are very interesting. Do you mind if I take my coat off? I always work much better with my coat off. Saucy shirt, isn't it?
What are you going to do?
There's only 2 things I've ever wanted to be. A gardener or a burglar. Both of them nice, quiet occupations. This is tougher than I thought.
You mustn't force it.
Afraid I'll have to.
But what shall I say when he comes back?
Don't you realize it's tonight or never? Tomorrow he wants to get you certified. If we go back, we're lost. We must gamble on finding something. Now, are you with me?
All right, force it, but be quick.
There's no hurry, Ma'am. He's quite happy where he is. I don't like these violent methods. Makes me feel like a dentist. All over now. Drawn a blank so far. Give me the keys. Suppose he keeps his papers in here.
Look! He's back. He's upstairs. Oh, I'm afraid.
How long does he usually stay?
Any time, an hour, 10 minutes.
Well, we shall want longer than that. That's done for, I'm afraid. Well, we shall have to risk it. Come along. Come along.
Oh, I can't see him. I daren't.
You shan't. Go right up to your room, lock yourself in, and don't come out in any circumstances until I tell you.
You're not going. You won't leave the house.
Of course not.
But Elizabeth.
Oh, don't you worry about Elizabeth. I've squared her. And remember, you're all right so long as you stay in your room.
Bella.
I brought you milk.
Go upstairs and tell Mrs. Mellon she's to come down here at once.
Just like that, sir. Very good, sir. Are you there, Mum? Master said you to come to the drawing room at once. She won't answer. She's got the door locked. I tried it.
All right, Nancy, go to bed.
Well, I've got to let the dog out first.
You needn't worry about the dog. Go to bed.
What's the go? What are you up to, eh?
Will you kindly remember that you're not a guest in this house?
Right.
Bella, I have your dog here. I found it in the drawing room, but you know it is not allowed.
Dog, Paul, no! No! Don't hurt it. I'm coming. I'm coming. Give me the dog. What have you done with it?
Dog? What dog?
You said you had it. Have you hurt it?
I haven't seen your dog. None of your dreams, like the one in which you dared break open my desk.
Dream? Don't tell me it was a dream that he never came here.
He? Who came? Tell me about this dream of yours.
I dreamed that a man came in here. I dreamed.
I know you dreamed. But tell me about the man. Speak, will you? I want to know more about the man.
I dreamed. I dreamed.
Was I part of this curious dream?
Who are you?
Apparently a mere figment of this lady's imagination.
How did you get in?
Well, we ghosts don't have to bother about doors.
If you don't tell me your business,
I came to call upon another ghost. The ghost of the man who murdered Alice Barlow in this very room.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Haven't you, Mr. Louis Bauer?
My name is Mellon.
Oh, no, it isn't.
You've been listening to my wife's insane ramblings.
Correct. Except that she isn't insane, or is she your wife?
You dare to break into my house? You tamper with my desk?
Where you and I know lies the evidence that you are Louis Bauer.
Here's what you wanted. It'll give me great pleasure to see you make a fool of yourself before I throw you out of the house.
Seems to be nothing here.
My brooch. And it's true. You did hide my things. You laid traps for me and said that I lied to you.
I found the brooch only today and put it aside until I could give it back to you.
Give it to me. This isn't your brooch.
I gave it to my wife as an engagement present.
Where do you get it from?
It's second-hand.
How do you know?
There's an inscription in it.
Where? Where?
Inside, it's a trick. I discovered it by accident.
Show me. A2AB. What are these?
There were some sort of stones in it.
Stones? Well, where are they? Quick.
They were loose, so I took them out and put them in here.
There you are. Alice Barlow's brooch. Alice Barlow's rubies. £20,000 worth. This brooch and these rubies are going to send you to the gallows.
Give them to me.
Get out of the room quickly.
Help! Oh, quick, hurry!
Go ahead and mute yourself, Ian. We can hear you.
Oh, crap. Sorry.
It's okay. Thank you for the tip. Ian tipped us. Thank you for the tip. You're not muted yet, dude. Good. I got you.
That'll hold him. We shan't need it anymore. Did you get my message through to Mr. Alswater?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, you go for the police now, and hurry.
Very good, sir.
It's all over now, Mum. You can go along up to your room. I'll deal with the servants.
I want to speak to my wife. Alone.
You go up to your room.
I, too, want to speak to my husband.
No, you'll only be torturing yourself.
I want to speak to him alone.
Very well, if you insist. I don't suppose. I'll hear you if you call.
Bella! Quick, Bella, the rubies. Help me to get away and give me them.
Rubies. How you lusted for them. Look at them. Look.
Bella, hurry. Get the knife down the drawer. Cut me free and give them to me. Quick, Bella. Cut the rope here. Take the knife.
Knife? What knife? Are you suggesting this is a knife I have in my hand? Have you gone mad, my sane husband? There was a knife, but I lost it. I always hide things away because I'm mad.
Bella, what are you saying?
Rubies. You killed a woman for them. And me, you tried to kill my mind. You made me mad. Witless as an animal, you said. And now you're helpless, and I'm mad.
Better let him hold them.
been a long time since I've seen an actual credit reel.
Right? So there's your main actors, and that's the film Gaslight. Let me change the background here. Bring our, there we go. And so this is our main graphic. I want to thank everyone this evening for hanging out in the chat. And I do want to thank our co-host who's been really gracious and awesome this evening, very intelligent, Ian, and he also tipped us, which is just so cool.
My last $2.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much. I know what it's like to be down to your last $2.
At least they're digital. Last 2 digital dollars. Now they can't take that $6,000 from me, or whatever the PayPal fine is.
Oh my God, right? It's ridiculous. Yeah, they're also, if you do something over $600, they're going to investigate it. So it's amazing. How poor do they want us? Well, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Can't take rent out of your ATM machine to pay your landlord.
Right? So I'm thanking all the chatters that joined us here this evening and the future viewers that will view this film after the fact. And we're sending our love to you. And we're also sending our love to Ian to help him get through a difficult time. And I'm so glad he was generous enough to give us his time this evening and to spend it with us.
It was a pleasure being here. It's always nice to have a good chat and maybe learn a little bit.
No doubt. And teach. Is that a grinder?
Oh, no, this is well, shout out to the Etsy shop I got this from. It's a really nice water bottle.
Etsy. Okay. Yeah, I've got weed on the brain. So like, oh, is that a grinder? And Any Word says, thanks. What's the next movie? I'm not sure. I know somewhere hidden in the wilds, Illuma Not Me, who is a chatter in the rooms a lot, wanted to watch with me, oh darn, Dark Servant of Destiny, which is the story of Rasputin, starring Alan Rickman. And Rasputin was the mad monk. And so I think I would love to get into that film. And if you're interested, let me know. And
Plot twist, him and Madame Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley were all operating at the same time.
it was a crazy time in history, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and all of those people, the Rat Pack. Just before the Nazi rat lines, we had the spiritual rat lines. And
Yeah.
they're all rats.
Manipulation of the esoteric teachings for racism, murder,
and eugenics.
Yep.
So yeah, so Rasputin was done by HBO. It's one of my favorite movies. And so if you guys have film suggestions, I am Occult Priestess at gmail.com. So go ahead and send me an email with a film suggestion.
You want to do the Holy Mountain?
I don't know if I can watch that, like, really. I understand it. It's a cult classic. I have books on it. Well, it's in the books. But I don't think I could do something that dark. Because it's such an art film.
It's really intense, especially when you start breaking down the symbolism every like 2 minutes. It's like
Exactly. I'd rather watch The Life of Brian than Holy Mountain.
I've got that one too.
That's a good one. So Any Word said, sounds like a good call. The Rasputin. I said it correctly. The Dark Messenger. I don't know. I said it correctly the first time. So we'll check that out. But since it's the holiday season, I thought movies was a good thing because you can't ask for people too much of their attention. And a lot of Rockfinners are taking the rest of the holiday season off. But I wanted to be here for you guys because I know some people get lonely and some people need to get out of the gaslighting they're in. And that's why we're here. We tell the truth. We bring you back to yourself. What's that, Ian?
I was just thinking of the Christmas truth, or the Christmas truce from World War One, where the soldiers recognized that it was a holy time for both of them, and they laid down their arms in spite of some superior's orders. They
That's
came together.
beautiful.
They came together, and for 2 nights they played soccer and exchanged their canteens. And
That reminds me of ancient Roman times during the war there, where they took a time off for, I think it was a death, and they took or maybe it was a wedding, but they took time off from fighting the Trojan War, and they came together. But I think that peace was broken by one of the sides. But I just remember things from the far past. It's more difficult for me to remember things from the recent past.
got a little bit of everything in between.
Yes, because it's a repeating story, isn't it? It just repeat, 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 and it's to get us to deal with our karma. If I'm making sense, the story, no matter when you incarnate, no matter where you incarnate, you're going to have these archetypal themes in your movie life. And it's all to grow the soul. That's why we're all here. There's absolutely no other reason. It's not to make money. It's not to work for someone else. And it's not to lose yourself in this pit of despair. It is to grow.
It's always growth. Inward growth, outward growth, growth together.
Growth together. And that leads to loving each other, which I think is also a goal, although I don't talk about it much. Sarah G says, A Life of Brian. Yes, haven't seen that in years. Monty Python's always good. I don't think that they've made anything that I wouldn't watch. And there's also Brazil.
Boys from Brazil.
No, just Brazil. Just it's a really weird film. It has a Kate Bush song in it. But I do like watching the weird films. I think I'm thinking about the Dune, the original Dune as well, with Sting and Baron Munchausen. So there's a whole bunch from that genre, from that place. Yeah, that time period. Do you have a film suggestion other than Holy Mountain?
I have so many films. I'm not really into pop culture per se.
Yeah.
I've got so many films on my terabyte right now.
Well, cool. We'll confab on that and see what we'd like to do.
Movies. What we got?
I pirate my movies. Usually I download them, like this one in particular.
That was a joke. On Minecraft, we pirate movies on Minecraft. We do not pirate them in real life.
Oh, okay.
They still get uppity about that.
Well, Hermes is the god of thieves, and he allows me to steal digital art so that I may express myself better and teach. I mean, gosh, like music even is copyrighted, and that's why I get in trouble on YouTube all the time, because I'm always playing other people's music. But music we own it because it's a soundtrack of our life. And also, I think film is like the soundtrack of our life. It's archetypal, meaningful stories that most of us go through. And so I don't think you put a copyright on archetypes.
We go with Gumo and childhood trauma with that movie.
I don't know that one.
Oh, it's so weird. It's like basically about kids in the 80s. And they're just out doing horrible stuff.
If a movie's too dark, I won't go for it because I'm sensitive, like the crazy woman.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That's a great one. That would bring in a big crowd, I think. Nurse Ratched. I wonder if I could get a costume.
Well, I think I got a beanie cap I could dress as Jack.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Sarah G says, Earth Abides, old school sci-fi stuff, all cool stuff. Can't wait. Good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying our movie nights together. It also helps me. I mean, I do put out videos with the movies that I've made myself, but it still takes less time than doing like an hour video presentation for y'all. So it's actually not as big of a workload, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate
Terminator 1.
Sweet. Yeah. Message me. We'll talk about it. We'll see what's up.
Mad
We are
Max.
coming up now on 7:58 p.m. We have been live for 2 hours and 58 minutes. So we're almost at the 3-hour mark in 2 minutes. So I'm going to tell you, my name is Occult Priestess, Reverend Corinne Wilson. I've been a professional psychic for over 30 years. I'm also a part of the new media, and I'm a big fangirl of a lot of Rokfinners, such as T-Lav, the Last American Vagabond, who just got reinstated on Twitter today. Amazing. And James Corbett has come over to Rokfin. Whitney Webb's on Rokfin. Jason Burmis Brigade. I'm a Burmis fan. And Grand Theft World. There's so many channels to explore here on Rokfin. So I hope that you take the time to do that. You can go to my website, occultpriestess.com, and set up an appointment if you have any emotional sorrow or lessons to learn. I hold your hand and I help you through it. And I also have psychic future insight on what's going to be going on with you, but also deep psychological and emotional insight that you might not even be aware of. So that's what I do. Ian, why don't you tell us about you?
I'm Ian. I'm just some guy from middle of nowhere, Wisconsin.
A smart guy, no doubt, and with a good heart. So I'd like to add that. Do you
Thank
have
you.
signs in the future to do this?
We're mulling stuff around in the ethereal realm, but nothing's manifesting.
All right. Well, you just keep on that because I would love to support you and support your work. And that's why you're here.
Yeah.
I want you to be here. So thank you everyone in the chat this evening. We are going to sign off at 3:33. Okay, 3 hours, 33 seconds. So good night.
Night, everybody. Sweet dreams and take care.
Happy holidays.
Happy Yule. Happy everything in between.
Yeah, have a cool Yule, y'all. Good night.
Night.